Good morning, everybody. How few of you there are. You're an adult, probably. If you are an adult, you probably have a job. And if you have a job, you are probably terrified of losing that job. You're petrified, actually, because if you're like most working class people, your job is a lifeline, right? It brings with it insurance, income, friends, usually, routine. So it kind of gives you a schedule which you can kind of base your whole life around, right? Um, it gives you skills, it gives you a sense of purpose as well. For many working class people, jobs and working is kind of like a religion. It is the thing that gives you structure, it is the thing that gives you your livelihood, it is everything to you. And that might sound like I'm dick riding my job, or that I'm some guy who's like, oh, working is everything. No, that's not true. What is true is that job is undeniably one of the most important things in your life, and you do not have a choice in that. So here's what I'm curious about today. How do our jobs shape us? How do our occupations alter our personalities? And how do jobs mold our schemata? So I recently read an article. Oh, fuck. I read in an article recently, which I'll throw in the description, that stimulating jobs promote a greater sense of agency in the worker. So these are jobs that have the worker complete a decently wide variety of tasks, and it's a job where they must use their best judgment in doing so, right? So you've got a good amount of shit to do, and you're given enough freedom to where like you can do this shit in kind of whatever order or in whatever fashion best comes to you. All right. So to not feel like a robot pretending to be human for 8 hours a day, you need a job that fits these two criteria. Your job must include non-repetitive tasks, and your job must let workers have some control over what they do. This is what the article says. Not too bad, right? These requirements don't sound particularly too hard to meet. My job as a teacher fits this description to a T. I've got a variety of tasks I gotta do. So like lesson planning, the act of teaching, dealing with behavioral issues, plenty of other shit that teachers I feel like famously kind of have like a lot of stuff on their plate. Um, and luckily, being a public school teacher, my administration kind of they kind of let me do my own little thing over here, right? As long as I'm getting everything done, as long as nobody's complaining, as long as I'm not like breaking the law, and as long as I'm teaching kids good skills, administration has no issue with me, right? It is sort of up to me to deal with my job, to do my job, and if I need help, I can always reach out, but no one is breathing down my neck. And in this job, I feel very healthy. I feel healthier now in this job than I've felt in the last 7 years of working. And I've only had this job for a matter of months, but this is a good one. But I have to note that I'm a college-educated little fella. That is not the case for most people. So entry-level jobs, service jobs, military jobs, any job where you're reporting to a supervisor, a manager, or just someone that is right above you, where you report to them mostly daily, those kinds of jobs do not, this is just a guess here, they probably do not satisfy these two criteria. Your job not having repetitive tasks, and your job allowing you to have control over your own work. Control lies in the hands of management. That's what management does. And your tasks are likely not very different from each other either. Like, think about the kind of skill that you are exercising in your task at work. If you're a customer service representative, it's like communication skills, and then whatever skills you need to run certain transactions, probably. But anything more, not even advanced, anything that is just different than that, it usually goes to a different person. Usually there's another department or another group or team of people that sort of handle those other tasks. But like, I don't know, have you ever been at work and you see what you're doing, and then you see this problem in front of you and you have to pass it off to a different department or a different team, and you're like, I could just fucking do it, because it doesn't require a whole lot of expertise. But again, management is like, okay, baby's plate has 2 tasks on it. Baby gets a 3rd task, baby's gonna choke. So sure, a lot of these entry-level or service jobs are easy, and, you know, yay for easy jobs. Jobs should not be, you shouldn't break your fucking back while you're doing your job. We should avoid, if possible, the stories that our grandparents say, where they're like, back in my day, I had to march 15 miles in the snow to go die in a coal mine, and then get resuscitated before lunch. Easy jobs are cool, but they should be easy because you are skilled. You've been trained effectively to do this thing. Your job should not be easy because you've got 2 things to do. Easy jobs are slow jobs, and slow jobs are slow because they're fucking boring. The grinding pace of the workday is made that much more painful by the lack of meaningful things to do. So easy jobs with a few tasks, that is shit. That's poop. That's doo-doo fart water. We don't want that. We want a nice, well-rounded job that has good training, that can teach you a variety of skills so you can do these different, this variety of tasks, and you can feel important, right? You can feel multifaceted. The article I read doesn't really get into the negatives of having a shitty job that much, at least. It just says that, like, you'll be stressed, you'll be less agreeable, you will be more neurotic, just kind of like everyday shit. If you'll let me air out my bias, this last section of the article did not really satisfy me. It wasn't juicy enough for me. I was after some bad news that would make me feel like shit. So I was on the lookout for an article that said something more along the lines of, studies show that if you don't love your job, you're gonna slowly but surely turn into a conservative. And then you're gonna move to St. Louis, and you're going to settle down in a modest residence, and then eventually you're going to vote for a city council candidate who is semi-fascist. But those remarks could have been made about any Mussolini. We don't know which Mussolini he was talking about. And then one Tuesday during lunch, you're going to come home to let the dogs out. But it turns out your beautiful, traditional 6 out of 10 centrist wife has already let one in. And you walk in the door and you are met with an odor once familiar but now is unfamiliar to you. You continue into your house. You turn the corner into your kitchen and you see see your wife on the island, spread in a flying V, and she's getting dug out by Chet Chunkerson. A nice, neighborly man who voted for center-left city council candidate Paula Wimsgendel, a man who also has 2/3 of a full head of hair. That's 41% more hair than you have. You have a seat. And you watch. You try to reach out with your feet to touch hers, but you're too far. And now you can't move, because Heavy sits the cuck in his chair. So anyway, I went looking for a study that makes me feel nice and bad, and I found this study called "This Job is Literally Killing Me," in which researchers Eric Gonzalez Mule and Bethany S. Cockburn found that job control but not cognitive ability moderated the relationship between job demands and physical health, such that job demands were related to better physical health under conditions of high control. Eric Gonzalez Mule also said, when job demands are greater than the control afforded by the job, or an individual's ability to deal with those demands, there is a deterioration of their mental health and accordingly an increased likelihood of their death. Basically, the worker is healthier when they have control at their job. Duh. So this study is essentially saying that as a worker, your only defense against your job is the control that your job offers you, paired with your cognitive ability to deal with whatever shit your job throws at you. So kind of a big takeaway from this also is that if your job is oppressive, and you are taking it too seriously, you should quit your job, because you will be relentlessly tortured over the next few decades until you eventually die. Because, let's be honest, for most of us here, retirement is looking a little bit like a stretch. Alright, so we've gotten a little sidetracked, admittedly. We roughly know how our jobs shape us in terms of mental and physical health. But I'm still curious about how jobs can alter behavior and belief. But since this video is already getting pretty long, instead of doing more research, I think I'm going to embrace not expanding my horizons, and I think I'm just going to give my opinion. If it isn't obvious by me just asking this question and wanting an affirmative response from research and from the literature, I obviously think that jobs for sure instill certain behaviors and certain beliefs into you, that they kind of mold you. And I think it largely depends on what your role is at your job, whether or not you have power, if you have anyone that you oversee, if you have authority, or if you're kind of a background motherfucker like how I was for a while. Here's an example. As a teacher, oh god, he's talking about his job again. As a teacher, I was suddenly very protective over my kids as if they were my own. I had no idea that I had that in me. I thought I fucking hated kids. And then I was given partial custody of over 100 of them, and switch flipped. So I've realized that I'm more empathetic to young people than I used to be, and I'm even slower to anger now, and I'm more eager to ask questions whenever people do stupid shit. So I encourage you to be open to this idea that your role at your job is maybe changing who you are. Or as they say in the UK, modo schemata. Been watching too much Love Island. With a girl. That's right. I have a girlfriend. Who wrote this fucking script? God damn.